want to talk a little bit more about how offensive it can be to a lot of people to suggest that they have done wrong when they didn't choose to do wrong. And so, one of the big pushbacks I think there is when people talk about the problem of racism, or when people are accused of being racist or doing something racist, is that if they feel that they did not choose to do something racist, and that it wasn't a personal choice to be racist, then that's very offensive to call them that. And part of the reason that's so offensive is we have this idea in American culture that we get to determine who we are, what we do, what our problems are, etc. This is called self-determinism. Self-determinism is a core value that is American. And there's a lot of good things about self-determinism, I should say. It breeds personal responsibility. It makes sure that we take responsibility for ourselves and our actions and our beliefs. But there's a lot of limits to this idea too, especially when it's brought to an extreme. And it does have an extreme version in a lot of the minds of people in our culture. And this self-determinism has this idea that I can't do something or be something that I didn't decide to be. You can't call me something, you can't tell me that I am or did something that I didn't decide to do. So when it comes to racism, this is how that works. If you say I did something racist or that I am a racist and I didn't consciously make the choice to do something racist, that's impossible in self-determinism. So flip side of the coin is, if I've decided to myself that I'm not racist, meaning that I've decided, you know what, I'm not going to judge people based on the color of their skin. I'm not going to treat people differently based on the color of their skin. I'm going to make a conscious choice to treat everybody the same. That means I can't be racist. I am not racist. I've self-determined that. And yet, what we believe about sin as Christians causes us to question the limits of self-determinism. I would say that as a Christian, we cannot fully believe in an extreme of self-determinism because as a Christian, we believe that there are forces in the world that are greater and beyond our humanity and our self-choice. I do believe in free will. I do not believe everything's determined outside of ourselves. I do believe that God gives us a tremendous amount of free will, but I believe that even that free will is very complicated and messy. And that it cannot be boiled down to the conscious choosing of individuals in the way that self-determinism might talk about it. And so, as a Christian, we have to believe, if we're faithfully following the teachings of Jesus, that there are forces of evil in the world that work in our lives beyond our choosing. We also believe that there are forces of grace that work in our lives beyond our choosing. Again, this doesn't mean that other forces determine everything. It just means that there's really no such thing as pure self-determinism. And so that means we have to be open to the possibility, in the case of racism, that we actually could do something racist, that we could be racist and not be choosing to be. And it's not until we do that as Christians that we say, kind of like Paul says, and when he says, I do things that I don't want to do. I act in ways that I don't mean to act. Oh, wretched man that I am, is what he says, because sin has more power over us than we would like to think. And simple self-determinism simply cannot fly in the face of what we believe about sin and what we believe about grace and what we believe about what it means to be human.